That is a pretty big bloom, but last year it had even larger blooms than this. Hi, I'm Susie Dingle, writer, garden coach, landscape designer, and a huge fan of hydrangeas. I have several in my cottagecore garden, and it wouldn't be complete without all of these hydrangeas. I'll show you those in a different video, but today I want to show you the Annabelle hydrangea right over here. It's called Incrediball.
Incrediball was bred from the naturally occurring Annabelle hydrangea, and it's known for its larger flowers and sturdier stems.
To prune this hydrangea, you have a couple of options. I got all these blooms by pruning it to 6 inches tall and then letting 2 stems come out, pruning those stems to 2 more stems. So the more stems you have, the more blooms you're going to get. 2 years ago, I wanted to rejuvenate this shrub, so I cut it all the way to the ground. It forced out a few stems with really big blooms, and I'd like to show that to you right now. Wow, what's not to love about this? Huge bloom. The benefit of this particular hydrangea is it does bloom on new wood. So most hydrangeas you have to wait an entire year. You prune it, you let the stems grow, you let the buds form, and then the following year you get your flowers. Not so with this hydrangea. So it's one of the main benefits of planting the Annabelle hydrangea. With hydrangeas, it's good to put them in a place where they can grow to their maximum size without having to do any spot pruning on them. Say to take them away from the side of a house or to keep them from growing over a path. So I like to put them right where they're going to be, where they can grow to their full glory, as I've done with this one here. And then we have the Annabelle hydrangea. And I've got one on this side and then one over here. And why is it along the path? Well, because it acts as the gate. So if a person wants to go here, they have to open the gate to go on through. A typical height for this hydrangea is 6 feet tall and 6 feet wide. And you're seeing pretty much the full size of the hydrangea here.
Here's a bird's eye view from the roof.
Where it grows naturally is where there's moisture, particularly where there's seepage, where on hillsides or cliff sides, not where it's really deeply swampy, but certainly where water is flowing on it all the time. So in this case, I have it on a slight mound, so when it does rain, the rain goes across the roots and wets it and then flows away from it. It can handle a lot of drought once it's established, but it does perform better with some water. In fact, we had 2 very prolonged dry spells this year. One where temperatures reached over 105 up to 110 for about a week, and then we're in the middle of another dry spell right now. And I have not added any additional water to this hydrangea. The leaves are wonderful, the flowers look great, but that's because I've planted it in the right place, in the shade. That is the most important thing if you don't want to add additional water. So that's one of the reasons I love this particular type of hydrangea. The other reason I like it is it's very, very tough. It's a native to the eastern part of the United States, all the way high up to, say, Illinois and down into the deep south. In fact, it was first spotted in Illinois in a place called Anna, and that's why it's called Annabelle hydrangea. The other reason I like it a lot is because it's very sturdy. It has larger flowers, which are fairly light, but the stems themselves are really sturdy. They can hold up really well. In our area, we don't get a lot of pests on hydrangeas. If we do, it's generally a snail, and if you keep things on the dry side, then you can also discourage snails and slugs in general.
This Annabelle hydrangea has hairy, tough leaves, so it makes it more difficult for any snails to do damage to them. When I see something like this that's been chewed, I start looking for this little snail. It hangs out on the shrub, or in this case on the shrub that's behind this hydrangea.
Botanical names are really hard to pronounce sometimes, to know what they are, and there's a lot of fear involved in saying it correctly. You can go to pronunciation guides and they will differ. So just do your best, and if you need to use the common name of it, do that, and do it proudly, because at least we remember that, right? But I do believe that this one is pronounced, well, the hydrangea part, most people know that, arborescens. I believe that's how it's pronounced. I have heard it pronounced different ways, but I'm going to stick with that, and you'll probably never hear me say that again, because I prefer Annabelle and Incrediball. This hydrangea is growing with a couple other shrubs, so it makes a very good neighbor. This corner is a white flowering shrub extravaganza. It begins with a camellia that is white, and then goes on to the deutzia, which was here on the property when we moved in, and I didn't want to pull it out. I just keep it pruned back so that it keeps it small, otherwise it get really big. And then we have the Annabelle hydrangea. At its base are some hellebores and trilliums, cyclamen, things that bloom in the late winter and early spring. So it never looks bare in this area. There's also some ferns down in there. All of these are very compatible at the base of a hydrangea, any hydrangea, but particularly this Annabelle hydrangea.
What's not to love about this gorgeous cyclamen?
It would appreciate some flower food, but it's not the kind of hydrangea where you would be adjusting the pH to turn it pink or blue. It is a white hydrangea. And it starts out though a green color, and then it goes to white, and then it turns back to this almost celadon or antique green color as it ages, which I think is really truly beautiful. To cut these flowers, you just handle it like any other hydrangea. You cut about 8 inches to a foot, take off the bottom leaves, plunk it into some water, and then cover the head of the hydrangea with a damp paper towel and leave it in a cool, dark place overnight. However, I have found that this particular hydrangea does much better than any of the other ones as far as looking good just by cutting it and making an arrangement out of it right away. That is another benefit of growing this particular hydrangea.
Look at that sweet little bloom. That could be an umbrella for a fairy.
remember, when you cut a hydrangea, where you cut it, the stem is going to force out 2 new stems from that point. So keep that in mind. I will cut this a little bit further down to the ground later on, but for now, this is all I wanted, was a beautiful big bloom in order to make an arrangement. I hope you enjoyed seeing my Annabelle Incrediball hydrangea in my Cottagecore garden, and until next time, keep dreaming in the garden.